The following podcast has been scheduled for one fall. I'm your reigning, defending, undisputed host, Sexy Thor, and welcome to the fourth episode of The Ring of Thunder. I'm recording and releasing this episode a day early because in the parallel timeline where everything has not been canceled or postponed, this was the weekend where Dan and I would be killing it at SC Comic Con, and then Monday morning Nick and I would leave and spend all day in Atlanta and going to the go-home show for WrestleMania. And to give you a quickish recap, not really, in case you've been hearing me talk about Rawlanta all the time, Rawlanta was last February 25th, a few days before my birthday. Me and my two best buds, Nick and Matt Moser, met up in the DashCon parking lot and then hopped in a car together and went down to Georgia. Our first stop was the Mall of Georgia, which I had never been to before, except once when Juan and I picked up something from the Cheesecake Factory on the way back from Netherworld a few years ago. There I got to actually be in a Disney store for the first time in 20 years since it was in Haywood Mall. I think it was Haywood Mall, or maybe somewhere in Columbia, I don't know. Got to visit a couple of sports merchandise stores which had the local teams of, you guessed it, Falcons, Atlanta United, Braves, Hawks, Bulldogs, so naturally I bought half the stores. I also got to see what their movie theater looks like, and the lobby looked strikingly similar to DashCon 1, which I took as a sign that I belonged there, both DashCon 1 and Georgia. At the time I was at DashCon 2 and my time there was taking a nosedive. From the mall we went right into Atlanta, straight to Mercedes-Benz Stadium where we got to look around outside and visit the team store, and again, bought half the shit in there. Then we walked over to Peachtree Street and visited that food court and went inside the Marriott. Nick and Matt were having DragonCon flashbacks while I was just excited to be there. Of course, 5 months later when I finally got to DragonCon, I was having Rawlanta flashbacks. Circle of life. We ate at the Hooters on Peachtree that was digitally altered out of an opening shot of The Walking Dead Season 2, and also it was all-you-can-eat Mondays, so we resurrected an old tradition. After some more walking around, we make our way to State Farm Arena and go in. I'm in awe of the big-ass Trae Young banner in the building and swing by the merch booth and get a brand new Roman Reigns shirt that's not even on the shop website yet at the time, with his logo looking like a cancer ribbon. Finally, we get to our seats, wait for the show to start, which starts with Roman Reigns himself in the squared circle for the first time in 126 days, announcing his leukemia is in remission, and he is back to active status immediately. What followed was 2.5 hours of very inspired performance by the rest of the superstars, including Becky Lynch getting arrested on her way to becoming Becky Two Belts. We left the arena as hyped as we were exhausted and hopped in the car, got some Crystal Burgers, and headed back to town in what was absolutely the best day of my life. We were set to do the same thing tomorrow, but with the world as it is, not happening. But I still put this episode out on a Sunday because that's an original plan that I can control. For more on that logic, see Everything Stoicism. But just because it's not happening now doesn't mean it won't possibly happen in a new way, with the NXT live event in Center Stage rescheduled for July, the weekend before SC Comic Con. I just hope the world's better by then. But I've been spending my weekend watching comic book stuff, starting out watching Infinity War and Endgame back-to-back, so you know I'm not fucking around. And I've got some fun plans tomorrow in-house that involve Rawlanta, because if I'm not, then I missed the point that day was teaching me, reconfirming who I am and what makes me happy in the best way. Speaking of all that, Roman will not be partaking in the Universal Championship match at WrestleMania as he is immunocompromised, and this came after The Miz came down with some sort of sickness, and Dana Brooke's been running hotter than 100.4 degrees. So she's in quarantine, which changes the SmackDown Women's Championship match to a fatal 5-way elimination. And word on the street is that Braun will be the one replacing Roman for the Universal Championship match. Whether he'll win it like Roman would have is another thing, but hey, there's always SummerSlam. And 2 new WrestleMania matches were announced. The Street Profits will defend the Raw tag titles against the team of Andrade and Angel Garza, and Aleister Black will face Bobby Lashley, who's just coming back from South Africa, so he's been through all his necessary things so he can be confirmed healthy and in good condition to do all this. Oh, by the way, everything leading up to and through WrestleMania is already filmed, by the way. And last week on Raw, the show started with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, with Paul Heyman talking about certainty both in the world and the certainty that Brock Lesnar will kick Drew McIntyre's ass. Then they showed the 2015 Royal Rumble WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which was a triple threat between Brock Lesnar, John Cena, and Seth Rollins, which of course Brock won because it's Brock. And then the OC came out and AJ talked about the Undertaker swimming with tigers and posting selfies on Instagram, and he said he doesn't want that Mark Calloway that's just taking selfies and, making videos talking about saving tigers in a pool with his wife Michelle McCool, in case you didn't know. And he challenged Undertaker to a Boneyard Match. What is a Boneyard Match, you ask? Well, everybody's asking that. On a streaming session on Mixer a few days later, AJ said something along the lines of a Boneyard Match basically being a graveyard match, but with everything going on in the world, they wanted to rename it to not sound insensitive and or just plain old fucking grim. I personally was envisioning the elephant graveyard from The Lion King, specifically from the Lion King video game, because that's the only level I could ever really play. But no, evidently a graveyard. We'll see how all that comes to life. And then Charlie Caruso interviewed Andrade and Angel Garza, and Garza got a little bit extra flirty with Charlie, like he did a few weeks ago when he kissed her hand and she was all smitten a few weeks ago. And then Angel and Andrade versus Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, and the most buried tag team since Ryder and Hawkins. And they tried attacking Ricochet as soon as he came in. Then the match got underway, and the Street Profits came in for commentary about halfway through, and Andrade hit Cedric Alexander with a back elbow and got the pin. The Street Profits applauded and came to the ring, where a brawl broke out, and Andrade and Angel got out of the ring and left, which the Street Profits were there, so they just took the next tag team that came out, which was a very interesting one from NXT's sort of mid to lower card. Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink. Now, Shane Thorne shows up on NXT TV every now and again, but I have never at all heard of Brendan Vink. But maybe that's just me. But Montez Ford frog splashed Shane Thorne and pinned him. Then next up, Charlie Caruso interviewed Shayna Baszler. She basically said, I want to win the Raw Women's title because I love to destroy, and because winning it would destroy Becky Lynch. And then she was hit in the back with a chair, and out of the shadows was Becky Lynch. It's almost as if you say her name and all of a sudden she appears. Only you don't have to say it 3 times. You just say it once and she'll come right out with a steel chair or a crutch or whatever. Ooh. Next up was Aleister Black versus Leon Ruff. He sat down in front of Leon, and Leon kept trying to get him up and was just looking at the ref like, what is he doing? Get him up. And he ended up just charging at him, which Aleister dodged, got up, hit him with the Black Mass, and got the 1-2-3. And then Kevin Owens came out and summoned Seth Rollins, and Rollins said that there was no NXT, no Johnny Gargano, no Tommaso Ciampa, no Undisputed Era, no Performance Center, no Women's Evolution, no Kevin Owens without Seth Rollins. And Seth thought it was funny that Kevin Owens picked WrestleMania as the battleground, because Kevin Owens' WrestleMania record is just failure after failure after failure, and he couldn't even beat Daniel Bryan at Fastlane last year for the WWE Championship and be in WrestleMania 35. It would have thus been a part of Kofi Mania. While at WrestleMania, Seth won the Intercontinental Championship, the Universal Championship, and cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania 31 in the heist of the century to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And while doing all that, he has beaten the likes of Brock Lesnar and Triple H. And then they showed Charlotte Flair versus Asuka at WrestleMania 34 for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Charlotte's entrance was her dad's theme at first playing, and then her own theme, and she was on a throne surrounded by Roman-looking guards, not Roman Reigns, but like Rome. And that whole appearance came all full circle, since she was a sort of Egyptian-looking bodyguard, I guess you would call it, for Triple H's entrance in WrestleMania 30, and she was a bodyguard alongside with Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss. Charlotte made Asuka tap out to the figure eight, which ended up breaking Asuka's streak of like 900 and something days. And then finally was Randy Orton live, and he was saying that Adam Copeland isn't addicted to the roar of the crowd, he's addicted to being Edge. And Randy is the first one to admit he was handed opportunity because of his name and being the son of Cowboy Bob Orton, but that doesn't guarantee a Hall of Fame career. And Randy won the Intercontinental title in less than a year of his main roster debut and became the youngest World Heavyweight Champion less than a year after that. And Randy said he does have grit because he stayed in this business and didn't just stay at home staring in the sky asking what if. And finally, he accepted Edge's challenge to make their match a last man standing match. And also some news before we get into NXT results. Takeover Tampa matches, which was originally going to be on April the 4th, but is now replaced by WrestleMania Night 1. The matches that were supposed to take place will be over the coming weeks, starting this week on April 1st. And on last week's episode of NXT was Tyler Breeze versus Austin Theory, and Austin was recording a video on his camera saying he'll remember this forever, blah, blah, blah. And then he put Theory in the fireman's carry and then hit Theory with the beauty shot and got the 1-2-3. Tyler Breeze is victorious and also gorgeous. Killian Dane versus Tahuti Miles. Killian hit Miles with the Vader bomb and got the 1-2-3. Cameron Grimes hit Tony Nese with the double stomp and got the win. Next up was supposed to be Xia Li versus Aaliyah in a qualifying match for the number one contender ladder match, but Xia Li was attacked by a mystery assailant and was not medically cleared. Someone who was clear was Io Shirai, returning for the first time in over a month. Io hit Aaliyah with her moonsault and got the 1-2-3. In an interview with John Quasto, Keith Lee addressed the attack by Damian Priest and admitted his mistake thinking it was Dominik Dijakovic and spirit bombing him and wanted to apologize. Dijakovic came out and didn't accept the apology as he would never attack Keith from behind as he has more respect for him than that, and Keith took food off Dominik's family's table. With all that, but before they could get into it, Damian Priest interrupted and was gloating and about to attack again. Keith was ready, but Dijakovic pushed him out of the way, and all three men went at it. Adam Cole was poolside enjoying a vacation with the NXT title since he can't do an in-ring with the crowd sort of NXT championship celebration, so he's celebrating and also social distancing. Very responsible of him. And he basically told Velveteen Dream he hasn't earned an opportunity at the NXT title, but Bobby Fish wants a crack at him. Then Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch took on Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink. They're getting twice in 1 week now. And Lorcan and Burch made Thorne and Vink tap out at the same time. Candice LeRae defeated Kaden Carter using the Gargano escape submission to qualify for the number one contender ladder match. Next up was Matt Riddle versus Roderick Strong. Matt Riddle entered fist bumping the invisible crowd because he's just that awesome. And then Matt hit Strong with the Bro Derek, and got the pin, and then was attacked by a new team being managed by Malcolm Bivens. Velveteen Dream versus Bobby Fish is official for next week, and also for next week is a second chance gauntlet match for the final spot in the number one contender ladder match with Xia Li, Deonna Purrazzo, Dakota Kai, Aaliyah, Kaden Carter, and Shotzi Blackheart. And also next week will be the triple threat for the North American Championship between Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic, and Damian Priest. I'm assuming this is one of the matches that was originally planned for TakeOver Tampa. Just a hunch. And then Triple H laid out to Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa that in 2 weeks' time they will fight in an empty building that Triple H himself will go find for the final time, and this feud will be over, and if it continues, they will both be fired. At the same time on Dynamite, Cody defeated Jimmy Havoc with 2 crossroads after Jimmy Havoc pretty much spent most of the match literally torturing him. Then Jake the Snake Roberts showed up on a video and invited Cody to go ahead and sign Lance Archer and give him a chance unless he's scared. And he wanted a meeting with Cody and the old man Arn Anderson, and he called Brandy Caesar's Cleopatra or Bill's Monica, which Brandy did not like at all. Then Darby Allin defeated Kip Sabian. And Jake Hager defeated Chico Adams. Then Jon Moxley came out and hit Hager with a paradigm shift. And Hager actually had the wherewithal to put Mox in an ankle lock until Mox threw him out of the ring. And then Brody Lee, the Exalted One, defeated QT Marshall. And before that was a video promo where he was mocking Vince McMahon or parodying him or whatever. So he was sitting at a table in a suit, and he had two other people sitting at the table with him, and one guy started eating, and he was just like, "You don't eat until I finish, now get out." So yeah, the hits keep coming. But yeah, Brody had QT Marshall and it looked like his sister Abigail, and then he held him up and then hit him with the discus lariat, which is the spinny fist thing that I was talking about last week. So that's what it's called. And then we had a video sequence where Vanguard 1, the drone of Matt Hardy, checked up on Nick Jackson in his garage exercising, and according to the drone, Nick is at 61%. And then Sammy Guevara was taking on Kenny Omega for the AAA Mega Championship, which is part of a indie promotion down in Mexico that's mostly lucha, but I guess, if you're really good, you can come in from the outside and compete for it. And of course, Kenny retained that championship. And then finally, Jericho tried to recruit Vanguard 1 because he was supposed to have a face-to-face with Matt Hardy, and to which Tony Schiavone and Cody, who were over in the commentary booth, noted that Jericho might be losing it at this point. And then finally, the actual Matt Hardy came out in person and pretty much told him he was the vessel Matt Hardy, but he was the essence of Damascus, and that this is not an empty arena like Jericho has ordered it to be, because that's how they're tying it in instead of just being current events. But there are essences all around in the crowd, and apparently among the essences straight out of Damascus, broken Matt Hardy's mouth, evidently the essences of Abraham Lincoln and Martin Luther King were there, so apparently they're big AEW fans. And yeah, this was very nice, and it was kind of a blessing to have this as a little more build up to Blood and Guts. We get more time with this version of broken Matt Hardy. On NXT UK, Fabian Aichner and Marcel Bartel defeated Ashton Smith and Oliver Carter. Aoife Valkyrie defeated Nina Samuels. Noam Dar defeated A-Kid. And Jordan Devlin defeated Travis Banks to retain the NXT Cruiserweight title, and he got it by Devlin holding on to the ropes as he rolled up Travis Banks, which is, of course, illegal. And the rest of the episode was basically other NXT UK superstars talking about how they're going to be in the 20-man Battle Royal and be a number one contender for the NXT UK Championship and going to win the championship. We'll see. And then on SmackDown, there is the confrontation between the 5 women in the SmackDown Women's Championship. And Sasha was a little reluctant to say she had Bayley's back completely. And Tamina only said, "Actions speak louder than words," which heard that, Tamina. And she super kicked Naomi and Lacey, and then Sasha and Bayley went bye-bye. And Drew Gulak defeated Shinsuke Nakamura after Daniel Bryan pulled Gulak out of the way of the Kinshasa, and Gulak got the pin. And then Dolph Ziggler challenged Otis to WrestleMania match with Mandy in his corner, to which later Mandy came up to him and was just like, "Okay, look, I'm not going to have you two fighting over me like a piece of meat here. So we're just going to figure out something and y'all just get this over with." So we'll see what extra stipulation is going on in there. I'm sure it will be this Friday. And then Elias started singing a song about Corbin, and then Corbin attacked him from behind and tossed him over the perch. Alexa Bliss defeated Asuka, yay! And yeah, pretty much this sets the stage for Bliss Cross Applesauce taking on the Kabuki Warriors for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. And they showed the WrestleMania 32 main event of Roman defeating Triple H to become WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Bray Wyatt challenged John Cena to a Firefly Funhouse match. Miz and Morrison attacked the New Day and the Usos during their match, so WWE officials just made the SmackDown Tag Team Championship a triple threat ladder match. Well, with the Miz being sick, we'll see how and if they change all that up, considering they have it all filmed already. And then after that on 205 Live, Isaiah Swerve Scott defeated Joaquin Wilde, and Tony Nese defeated Oni Lorcan. And that's the 1, 2, 3. Thank you for locking up with me on this Sunday edition of the Ring of Thunder. Kick butts, not nuts.